Morning.
Good morning, Coach. My name is Frank Swivers, and I'll be your service this morning. We welcome you back, and we are grateful for your presence. On the 19th is our resident minister, Reverend Nari Hayashi. The service is also being live streamed by Zoom. Our main priority is keeping our Sangha a safe place to hear the Dharma. Although we may be very happy to see each other, please be mindful of others' comfort level. And please keep in mind the following policies. Please keep face masks on at all times, and please be mindful of social distancing. Because we have masks on, we can chant with sensei. Thank you for your understanding, and please feel free to participate at your own comfort level. Reverend Hayashi will now lead us in opening meditation and recitation of the necklaces.
Meditation provides the calm that prepares our mind to meet the mind, the Buddha's teachings. Please place your hands on your lap, lower your head slightly, and release tension for meditation. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha.
Reverend Hayashi will now lead us now sing the Vandana to Sarana, refuges. So we found on the insert. page 29 in the service book. We don't have chance to send it. Please turn to page 31 in our service book. And we now chant and begin. Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. This morning, our Dharma message will be given by Reverend Hill. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday hybrid service. So first, before I begin my message, since there are new people here today, I just want to point out one thing in the sutra we just had, the second sutra. So this is a new sutra book that we recently purchased, right? We had the old version, but we bought this new one. But for instance, in the Jusei, we just chant. Page 39. This last part, it has a melody in it, right? And many of you have noticed, but it doesn't have a note. So in the old version, we did have the note, so you could kind of follow it. But somehow in the new version, it doesn't have the note, and I didn't, realize this, and I apologize, So we will try to, do something about it, but hopefully, you could listen to, there are many people who already know this, the melody, so if you could listen to it and kind of memorize it, so it kind of becomes part of you or natural. But we'll try to do something about this. So it has been over I guess 15 months since the COVID crisis spread globally, and since there are more and more people getting vaccinated, a lot of states started to lift their restrictions of infection prevention to resume economic activities. And thankfully, we're able to reopen and have services every week at the temple. And as the society gradually opens up, I wonder if it is particularly important to think right now about what kind of actions we should be taking as Buddhists that can be effective for our society. So in Mahayana Buddhism, so there's 3 streams in Buddhism, right? Mahayana, Theravada, and Vajrayana. And we are part of this Mahayana stream. And there's this preferred bodhisattva practice called the 6 paramitas. The 6 paramitas. So this is a preferred practice in Mahayana Buddhism. The word, paramita. So there's 6 of them, but the paramita in Sanskrit literally means crossing over to the other shore. Crossing over to the other shore. That's the meaning of paramita. And the paramitas are a set of Buddhist virtues, the perfection of which enables one to cross over from this shore, which is the world of suffering, to arrive to the other shore of liberation in nirvana. The 6 paramitas are generosity, discipline, perseverance, effort, meditation, and wisdom. Generosity, discipline, perseverance, effort, meditation, and wisdom. And by the way, those who participated in our spring seminar we had in April, no, May.
people who participate in this seminar knows about this, but there's a way to memorize the 6 parameters, which I thought was very effective. It's a very interesting way to remember the 6 parameters, which is to remember as grandpa delivers pizza every Monday and Wednesday. So each, the first letter of each word, grandpa, generosity, delivers, discipline, pizza, perseverance, every effort, Monday, meditation, and Wednesday, wisdom. So that's a very unique way to memorize the 6 parameters. But in any case, the 6 parameters are generosity, discipline, perseverance, effort, meditation, and wisdom. So the generosity, first of the generosity, also known as dana, which is part of the ritual of our service, means to give freely without expecting any return, anything in return, and to give thinking of the needs of others without considering one's own benefit. So it's also known as selfless giving. So that's generosity. Next, discipline is to carefully observe and follow the monastic code and Buddhist precepts, such as refraining from taking life, stealing, lying, drinking, and so on and so forth. And perseverance is a practice of patience and forbearance by calming the mind and not giving any rise of anger or hatred. So that's perseverance. Effort is to strive vigorously to cultivate compassion and cease committing harmful deeds. You have to cease committing harmful deeds. And the next is meditation. Is to focus the mind on a single point of concentration such that one arrives at a mental state free of distraction. So that's meditation. And the last of wisdom is the ability to correctly apprehend all things and see the true nature of reality. In other words, it is the ability to see things as they are without any prejudice or judgment. So that's wisdom. However, even though the 6 paramitas are the ideal way in which Buddhists should live and should be perfectly maintained, it is not always possible in all cases for us to do this perfectly. Take the example of generosity, the perfection of generosity. So, as I said, we have the practice of selfless giving, but is it really possible to give selflessly? The more you try to give selflessly, the more the self gets involved. So, is that really selfless? The same is true for discipline. So, the discipline, the most famous precept is called, in Buddhism, it's called the 5 precepts, which is, refrain from taking life, from lying, stealing, and drinking, and I'm sorry, I forgot. But in any case, the first recommends, it suggests us to refrain, don't take life, right? But not all of us are happy being a vegetarian, right? And in fact, plants are also life, right? And it is also difficult to not lie. The second of the 5 precepts is don't lie, refrain from lying. But it's difficult to not lie. It's because, a lie can sometimes help others, right? I remember an essay I read years ago. So the title of the essay was My Father's Kind Lie, which was written by a boy who was in elementary school. So he starts his essay by saying that among the most heartfelt words, those which deeply touched his heart were, I have to go somewhere far away for work, so I want you to take good care of your mother for me. So these were his father's last words. His father passed away due to leukemia when he was 2 years old. And this boy, he says he doesn't remember, his father telling him that, those words, but his father's words were videotaped in his mother's iPhone so that he can watch it anytime, right? He says when he watches a video, it makes him very sad, but at the same time, he feels his father's warm heart, right? Warm heart through his kind life, which always gives him comfort and courage so that he could move on. He's still in elementary school, right? And he, at the end of this essay, he notes that he will continue to pretend that he still hasn't realized that his father's lies were a lie. Therefore, sometimes it is difficult to think whether it is good or bad to lie. In this way, practicing and also perfecting the 6 paramitas is not just difficult, but it may be impossible, especially living in the secular world full of everyday tasks, such as working, studying, and also raising a child. But this does not mean that we should just then forget about the 6 paramitas or ignore it. As Shakyamuni Buddha taught how our unawareness of our true reality, of our nature, or who we really are, causes our own suffering, by taking the 6 paramitas not as a list of attributes that we should seek to attain or perfect, but as a statement of what we lack within ourselves, the 6 paramitas can serve as a means to build awareness within ourselves. For instance, the practice of generosity makes us aware of how we are so attached to things. I got a text from my mother. She lives in Japan yesterday, and she was complaining about my father. Right? So it looks like so we have 2 cars, and one is a very nice sedan, right? And my mother loves that car, but it's so old and it costs a lot of money to maintain it. So it was always a trouble for my father, and obviously they had to do something about it because all these money, they're pouring a lot of money into it, and it's getting it's so old. So my father decided to get rid of it. And now I'm getting all this complaint from my mother saying that, your father is such and such and such. Nothing I can do about it, right? So, we can be really attached to things. So this is something that we can, become aware through generosity. And we can also recognize through generosity, practice of generosity, how we are unaware of our tendency that expects others to be grateful or joyful to us, for what we gave to them. The practice of discipline makes us aware of how we inescapably take life, when we eat, like the lives of animals and also the lives of vegetables. We also become aware of how we tend to steal, such that we steal the idea or words of others and use them as if we came up with it, which I sometimes do this. And we also become aware of how it's almost impossible not to lie, as I said, right? Because we lie. Sometimes we lie to avoid punishment, but we also lie, sometimes to help someone, right? To protect someone from harm. Perseverance makes us aware of how we can easily get upset and put the blame on others when things didn't go the way we want. Effort makes us aware of how we soon give up on stuff when we don't get an immediate result. Meditation makes us aware of the truth of interconnectedness. As I spoke in one of my Dharma messages before, so if we take meditation as a way to listen to our surroundings by sitting quietly, we can gain the awareness of the truth of interconnectedness, the interconnectedness of life. So through meditation, we listen to the sound of the life of others and the life of nature that we tend to ignore, due to the many tasks we try to accomplish each day. The moment of meditation allows us to pause and relax, to still our mind, so that we can, listen to the sound of the wind, the rustle of the leaves, the passing cars, the birds crying, the cicada, and also the breathing, of others, the person that is sitting next to you. So we confirm our existence by listening to the sound of the many lives around us, and it's the silence that allows us to do this. So in the letter of the word silent is the word listen. The awareness gained through generosity, discipline, perseverance, effort, meditation leads us to gain last of wisdom. In other words, by becoming aware of things that we lack within ourselves through generosity, discipline, perseverance, effort, and meditation, we realize the lack of our wisdom, which is true wisdom. It is because the whole purpose of Buddhism is to awaken to our human nature, the reality of human nature, and understand who we really are. Thus, Shakyamuni Buddha says in the Nikaya Sutra, one who sees the Dharma sees one's nature, one who sees one's nature sees the Dharma. That is to say, each of the 6 paramitas are not separate concepts, but they are all interconnected to gain this true wisdom. Please join me in Basho. By reciting the Nebutsu Namo Amida Butsu, we are reminded what makes our individual lives even more meaningful, and we are also reminded of Dharma, the Buddha's teachings in times of need. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. I'd like to read these readings. I would like to read, it's called Listen, in this, written by the late Reverend N.U. Tucci. Listen, listen to the voice of the Dharma. Listen to the bird singing in the morning, the wind sighing in the bowl overhead, and the roar of the waves on the ocean. Listen to the rain on the roof and the snow falling in the fields. The Dharma speaks to us through the sounds of the world, forcefully and eloquently and beautifully. It speaks of the unending change around us, the immutable truth of interdependence, and the peace in nature. Do we have the ears to hear and listen? Listen to the Nebutsu and the Hondo. Listen to the noble silence of the Buddha. Amen.
Thank you for your message, Sensei. During this part of the service, we perform the ritual of the shote burning incense. Due to the interim policies of the board, incense burning is not being allowed due to the sharing of incense pieces and the smoke from it. We invite you to come up to the front table, offer dasho, and place any dana, which is our offering of gratitude to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, in the bowl on the table. Please be aware of your surroundings and approach mindfully. Once you're completed, please return to your seat by the silence. Reverend Hayashi will now lead us in closing meditation and recitation of the hymn.
Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha.
Our announcements for today, Zoom guests are welcome to stay on the line for our weekly Dharma discussion group, which will converse until 12:15. Our Buddhist movie discussion group meets today at 2 o'clock and will be discussing the movie Kubo and the Two Strings. All are welcome to join. The link to register can be found on the virtual events at Ekoji.org. We're collecting new socks at the end of the year as part of our Eastern Buddhist Week service project. And we'll be delivering those to people in need. Please bring socks on Sundays, and there's a laundry basket out in the foyer to those in. Be sure to RSVP for our next service. Join the wait list if needed so that we can have second service at 9 o'clock if that's required. Board and Reverend Hayashi thank everyone for your patience and support while we make the transition to a hybrid service model. Reverend, how I should in that.
Namo Amitabha. Namo Amitabha. Namo Amitabha.
Have a wonderful Sunday.